the next level, the consumers, and then that is where you see the energy and material transfer happen from one level to the other level. Now, whatever is left in the system is getting converted into elemental form by bacteria and fungi. We call them as the degraders or the bioengineers. And when you look at carefully the nature, so you can learn all the three principles of the thermodynamics, the energy transfer, the law of optimization, law of entropy. And also, when you look at the nature, there is nothing called waste. You will see waste in a system where environmentally illiterate people are there. Those who use too much of plastic and synthetic material, they constitute the waste in the system. Now, let us try to understand the other aspect. See, when you look at the earth, we have only one earth. Maintaining the ecosystem integrity of the earth is very important so that we will have the biodiversity for people. You know, as per the scriptures, our scriptures, it talks about 8 to 12 million species of plants and animals on the earth. And as per the science, we have estimated about 1.3 million species. But only about 5 or 8% of these species, we know the phytochemical properties, the medicinal properties, etc. Now, we have carried out a study in Western Ghats. You know, the Western Ghat is about 1,600 kilometer in length. It starts from Kerala to Gujarat. And if you look at the Western Ghat, and compare it with the India, you see that the geographical extent of the Western Ghat constitute only 5% of the India. That means only the 5% of the India is the Western Ghats. And more importantly, it has a diversity of plants and animals. And also because of the numerous rivers, it ensures the water security for the people in the Deccan Peninsula. So that means because of the water security, we have the food security. So that means the Western Ghats provides the people in southern India the medicine, driver's food, as well as the water and the food security. Now, let us try to understand how the species distribution happens across the earth. So along the latitudinal gradient, when you look at, you see that at 8 to 14 degree latitude, you have the highest number of plants and animals. You know, diversity of plants and animal means you have diverse food and diverse medicine. Because of this diverse medicine, you have the immunity. In fact, the 2 years back when the COVID hit the streets, we saw that there are only few cases in the Western Ghats region, you know, where the forests are intact, where the ecosystem was in good shape. We saw that there are only few cases of COVID, unlike the urbanized landscapes like Bangalore or Mumbai or Chennai, where the large number of mortality happened because of the COVID. This shows that if we maintain the ecosystem integrity, we also have the immunity and the health for the people. Now, when we look at the 8 to 14 degree, we have the maximum number of plants and animals species. That means we have diversity of plants and animals. When I say diversity of plants and animals, we also have diverse food and medicine. Now, let us try to understand what changes are happening in the region. You know that today we have the spatial data, you know, the remote sensing data. We launched the satellites way back in 70s. From 1973 onwards till today, we have a 21 or 30 days interval. There is this big spatial data. We have a big data. So which if you analyze the spatial data, you can find out what are the patterns in the changes, that is temporal patterns and the spatial pattern of the changes you can analyze. Now to analyze that and to automate the process, we use the algorithm, the artificial intelligence and machine learning. So that today with the machine learning, we are equipped to do this, the analysis at a much faster pace. You know, earlier to carry out the land use analysis, the people used to take 1 year. Today, my students have done for the Western Ghats within a 3 or 4 months. That is the advantage of the technology. That is where the science and technology can help in getting understanding the situation, which also helps in planning the resources and also to manage the resources. Not only when you look at the data of 1985 to 2018, it shows there is a decline in the forest cover with the time. And not only the forest cover is declining, we also see there is a fragmentation of forest is happening. Earlier forests were contiguous, but now you see the fragmentation is happening, and fragmentation is increasing with reference to time from 1985 to 2018. Now we also try to look at what are the services provided by these forests in the Western Ghats? As you all know, when we breathe, we give out the carbon dioxide. And when we use the vehicle, we are emitting the carbon. These carbons and the species of carbon, we call them as a greenhouse gases. If it is not removed from the atmosphere, there will be a warming of the earth will happen. That phenomena is called global warming. Because of the global warming, you will have changes in climate. Now, if you want to mitigate the changes in climate, what we need to do is we need to maintain the balance in the system, so that if we allow the carbon sequestration to happen in the system, then you are maintaining the balance. Now, when you understand from the ecosystem, the algae or the diatoms in the water body does the job of carbon sequestration. Similarly, the green plant on the land does the job of the carbon sequestration. We did the quantification of the carbon stored in the trees of the Western Ghats, the above ground biomass, then below ground biomass, and also we looked at what is the carbon in the soil. This gives the total carbon that is stored in this one. Now, if you look at that, the forest may be about 100 or 200 years old, you see that it has stored about 1.23 million gigagram of the carbon. And every year, how much carbon is stored, we have analyzed. That is called carbon sequestration, and that is about 37,000 gigagram, which is equivalent to the emission that happens in the cities like Bangalore, Trivandrum, Cochin, the Bangalore, etc. So that means the nature knows how to maintain the balance, but we should not cross the threshold. When you assign the monetary value to this carbon, it amounts to about 100 billion rupees. Why these kind of analysis are required? If you take part in the international discussion, about so you can argue with the countries like US and other European countries, the carbon that is stored in our forest or the carbon that is emitted by them. 100 years back, our country was not industrialized. We had not emitted so much carbon. So our forests have silently done the sequestration of carbon, because there is only one earth. The forest across the various landscape across the globe does the job of carbon sequestration. That is the job done by our forest, which amounts to 100 billion rupees. That is the kind of the amount the international the citizens, the international government had to pay to our country to maintain or conserve the ecosystem in India. So now we also the projected what is the likely scenario in 2031. There will be further degradation of the forest will happen, and forest will become more and more fragmented also. There will be about 5%. If you look at from 1985 to 2018, there has been a 5% decline in the evergreen forest, and overall we have about 18% forest cover in the Western Ghat as on date. So, and there's a further degradation is happening. As per the norm, Government of India now, we should have had 33% under forest cover, but in the name of development, we have degraded the ecosystem. Now we have the forest cover less than 18%. Now the implication of these changes in the forest cover or the land use cover or the land cover is the changes in temperature. The some part will have very high temperature, some part will have moderately increased temperature. That's what we have seen. The Kerala and Karnataka part will see an increase in temperature. Overall, there would be about 0.5 degree Celsius increase in temperature. And other thing is there will be changes in the rainfall pattern. Some region which are now receiving high rainfall like Kerala will start receiving the low rainfall. The arid regions like Maharashtra and the northern Karnataka will receive higher rainfall. This is quite worrying. And the more worrying thing is the changes in rainy days. Now, as you all know, the monsoon spread across the 6 to 8 months in Kerala and 4 months in Karnataka. Instead of rain falling for 4 to 6 months, if it falls in a few days, as it happens in Kodagu about 3 years back, or in Kerala, why not, about 3 years back, you see there would be floods. When there's a flood, there are landslides and mudslides. That means we are making the system more and more the vulnerable to the people. The people are killed, people have lost the property because of the degrading the ecosystem in this. Now you see how science and technology has helped us in visualizing what are the likely implication with this kind of changes. Now with this, probably the decision maker can take the clue and they can manage the resources. That is the agenda of the integrating the science and technology for sustainable well-being. Now, let me take you to some of the experiments in greater detail. As you all know, we all require water. Now, if you want water, how to manage the ecosystem? Let us try to understand. I don't think there are any human being who can survive without water. See, now, unfortunately, we have mismanaged the ecosystem that is leading to the water scarcity in the region. Now, for example, if you look at this is in 1991, when I was a student, the region had abundant water. But today, the same region, the same month, I don't have the water. So that is the, when you look at this carefully, the degradation of the landscape has led to the loss of the water in the region. So that means these water bodies or the wetlands are required for the people and for the nature. So now let us, to understand this better, I'll take you to a river basin. This is the Sharavati River Basin. It originates at Ambutirtha in Shivamogga, traverses 128 kilometers, joins the ocean. Now, in way back in 1965, we constructed a dam at a place called Linganmakki, or we have a reservoir with the construction of the dam. Now, when we constructed a dam, 179 villages were they submerged due to the reservoir construction. Now, those villages, when they submerged, the people in these villages were forcefully evicted from this region and they were dumped in the drier belt. Those farmers who were practicing the wet cultivation when they were here in the Western Ghats, they were practicing the wet cultivation. They were growing paddy, they were growing sugarcane, but when they were dumped in the drier belt, they couldn't cultivate they do the same cultivation. Now the farmers, what did they do? They waited till the reservoir work to be over in 1965. They came to this region, this part of the Sharavati River Basin. They converted the forest into agricultural land, and today the landscape has become like this in this region. The land is degraded. Now, if you want to see this anthropogenic the changes in the landscape has this any impact on the water availability, let us look at the rainfall. To understand the rainfall changes in the system, today we have 123 years of rainfall data. You just download the data, divide that into two time period, 1901 to 1965 and 1965 to today. When you do that, you will be surprised to see that during 1901 to 1964, this entire region, entire catchment was receiving the rainfall of 3000 to 4500 millimeter. But from 1965 to 2020, now when you look at, one portion continues to get 3000 to 4500 millimeter, while the other portion started getting a rainfall of 1700 to 1900 millimeter. Now, when you look at this, the land cover in the region, you see wherever the forests are intact like this, you have the good rainfall. The rainfall is maintained. Wherever forests are degraded like this, in this portion, you see there is a decline in the rainfall. Now, some people will argue that this might be the rain shadow region, but when you look at the region, the entire the topography is the rain catching region, and the entire region receives the orographic precipitation, the monsoon rainfall. So the rainfall is same, rainfall pattern is same, and topography is same, and the entire region is the rain catching region. But still, we see there is a decline in the rainfall that is mainly to do with the land cover. Now, to understand this better, let us divide this into a subbasin and try to understand what is the forest cover in each subbasin. See, you have a first order stream, two first order stream join form the second order, then they form the tributary. Now, let us delineate the subbasin for each of the tributary, find out what is the forest cover and the rainfall. Now, when we do that, you see that forests on the eastern side, this portion is the east, while this is a western side. When eastern side, forest cover is 30%, rainfall is 1750, or the forest cover is 41%, rainfall is 1780. Now, when you look at the western side, forest cover is 65%, rainfall is 4800, or forest cover is 60%, rainfall is 4400. That means in this region, forest cover is as high as 60 to 65%, and we have the rainfall of 4800 to 4400. While in this region, the forest cover is less than 30%, we are at 40%, we have the rainfall of the 1700. Now, we also carried out the detailed study of the hydrological investigation in this catchment. We selected each of the one stream in each of the subbasin to find out how long the water flows and what is the quantity of water. We did this experiment for 36 months, That means we wanted to see the season-wise variation and year-to-year variation. So that's where we did the experiment for 36 months. We also did the study by deploying the sensors. We deploy the sensors in the underlying layers, and when we chose the representative, the catchment, one catchment dominated by native species forest, another one with the urban area, the third one is dominated by the plantation. Like that, we selected around 12 the catchment to do the detailed studies for 36 months. When it rains, if the catchment is covered with the natural forests are diverse and of native species. The roots are also diverse. When roots are diverse, the soils will have the higher amount the diverse microorganism. When soils have a higher microorganism, the activities of the microorganism make the soil the porous or permeable. When soil is porous or permeable, when it rains, the water percolates, it fills this zone, which is a saturated zone. Then it fills this zone, which is a Vado zone. Then only after saturation of this zone, then only you will see a water flowing in the stream or river. That is during the monsoon. But when you look at the urban catchment, like urbanites, nothing gets inside. That's where there is a scarcity of water, and now what is the advantage of storing water in the underlying layer? About 50 to 60% of the rainfall gets infiltrated in the underlying layer as per our experiment. Now, you have the water in the river or stream or a lake for 4 months because of the rain. Next 4 months, the water that is stored in this region moves laterally to the river or stream for the next 4 months. During summer, the water this is stored here comes to the river or stream for the next 4 months. That's how you have 12 months water here. When you see the urban catchment, only during monsoon you have the water, and that too as a flash flood. So this is the advantage of maintaining the ecosystem integrity, so that you will have the water throughout the year. Now, we also graded the streams as A, B, C, D. A are the streams carry the water for 12 months. B are the one for 8 months. C are the streams for 6 months. D are only carry the water only during the monsoon. Now, when you look at the river or streams are A type, only when the catchment has the natural forest of native species. When we convert the forest into the monoculture plantation, you will see the water will be only for 8 to 6 months. When we degrade the catchment less than the 40% forest cover, you see that we will have water only during the monsoon. Now, the quantification of our the analysis shows that about 50 to 60% of the water gets infiltrated when the region is covered with the native forest. While when the region has the degraded forest, it's only 10 to 15% of the water get infiltrated. We also looked at what is the demand of the water in the region for agriculture, horticulture, livestock rearing, and for drinking. This shows the demand of the water in each of the sub-catchment. You see that the demand is reasonably high in this part, but there is a sufficient water. The water available in this region is sufficient to meet the demand, which is even high. Okay, whereas in this region, the demand is not that high, but there is a scarcity or the resources that is evident here. Now, to summarize what I said so far, you see that this is the region you have 12 months of water in the river, while this is the region 8 months. Yellow is the region for 6 months, and blue is the one has the 4 months. Now, when you look at the land cover, you see wherever forests are contiguous, we have 12 months of water. Wherever forests are fragmented, depending on the extent of fragmentation, with the intrusion of rubber and acacia plantation, you have 8 to 6 months of water. While in this region, the forest cover is less than 40%. You have only during the monsoon the water. Now, let us try to understand how it affects the livelihood of the people. The farmers in this region, if they earn 1,54,000 rupees per acre per year, the farmers in this region, they earn only 32,000 rupees per acre per year. Now, let us try to understand why 1,54,000 rupees per acre per year. Because farmers in this region can grow cash crop or a multiple crop, since the water is available throughout the year. While the farmers in this region can grow only one crop because the water is available only for 4 to 6 months. That's where in the name of development, when people they degrade the catchment, only those people are benefited because they would have looted the timber, while the major section of the population lose the water and they lose their livelihood. And another interesting part that has come out of our study is where native forests are there, we saw the higher number of the diverse pollinators, pollinators like bees and other insects which does the pollination. Because of that pollination, the efficient pollination, we found that yield of the crop is higher. You know, in this region, the farmers, if they get the, for example, the paddy, the yield of 12 to 16 quintal per acre, the farmers in this region, they get only 6 to 8 quintal per acre. Now, you see the government of India talk about doubling the income of the farmers. Now, I would say that just maintaining the forest integrity or the ecosystem integrity, we are giving the water to the people. They have the revenue of 1,54,000 rupees per acre compared to 30,000 rupees per acre. This is what is the lifestyle one has to lead to, and respect the mother nature. See, when Mother Nature is covered with the green saree of native species, she gives the water, retains the water for 12 months so that people can earn. So when we degrade the catchment with the vegetation cover, with the synthetic the species like rubber, etc., you see the water availability comes down to 6 to 8 months. So if you want water, you need to respect Mother Nature as you do at home respecting mother. The same thing you have to do it with the Mother Nature. Then Mother Nature will provide you the water. We did this analysis across the 4 river basin in the Western Ghats. This is published in Current Science in 2020. Those who are interested can download this article from the Current Science that is available. There is an open journal. Okay. Now let us try to understand about the diversity of animals that are there in the region. This gives the various symbols give the various the species of the mammals. Now you see that these mammals are the animals are there where the water is available 12 months. Where water is not there 12 months, only two-legged animals are there. You know, they're fighting for water. Now let us also try to understand how this ecosystem, when it is maintained in a good the quality, how it provides us the medicine. For example, our study, we described these two new species of fish from the Sharavati River Basin. We named that as a Sharavati nagodiensis and Sharavati, the Schistura nagodiensis and Schistura sharavatiensis. Now, the significance of this species is that it has a medicinal value. It is used for the curing the respiratory diseases. Now, we thought that the medicinal property in this fish will be there if we culture it in the labs in Bangalore. We brought those species to the Bangalore. When we cultured it, when we analyzed, none of this the specimen had the medicinal property. The message is that if you want medicine, you need to make sure these animals grow in their native habitat so that we get the medicine and the food. Now, for this animal, the fish to survive in this habitat, it has to have water for 12 months. To have the water for 12 months, the surrounding catchment area should have the forest of native species, the more than 60%. That brings the linkage between the aquatic diversity of animals with the terrestrial diversity. Now, as you all know, with the warming of the earth, the changes in climate is happening. The implication of the changes in climate is the scarcity of water. The earth will face a severe water scarcity. When there is no water on the earth, none of us will survive. No humans will survive. Whatever our intelligence, whatever the artificial intelligence we have created, but still will not survive on the earth. But let us try to understand how the other organism manages the show. For example, as you all know, the frogs, we call them as amphibians. Why do we call them as amphibian? Because they have two stages in their life cycle. The first stage is a juvenile stage or a tadpole stage, which is in the water. Next stage is the other stage, which is on the land. Now, suppose if there is no water, what will happen to the frog? The tadpole stage doesn't happen. So that means the frog cannot survive. Now, this particular species of frog, when we carried out a detailed survey in the Western Ghats, we come across this species, Philatus leucorinus. We noticed that after fertilization of the egg, we saw the younger ones were emerging out on 14 or 15 days. We got this the fertilized egg to the lab, and when we monitored it, we saw that on the 14th day the younger ones are emerging out. That means this organism has learned how to get adapted to a situation when there is no water. But whatever our intelligence, we will not survive. That is where we need to maintain the ecosystem integrity so that our children are safe and they will not have the water crisis or the food crisis. So we published this in the Current Science some time back. Okay. Now, understanding this importance of the forest and the linkage with the water, our elders have designated a patch of forest in various parts of the Western Ghats as a sacred forest. They are known as the Devarakadu or the sacred forest or a cows. Now, when you look at the forest, it symbolizes the hair of the Lord Shiva. You know, the Ganga emerged from the sun as per the mythology. So now our forest represents that. If you degrade the forest, then we will not have the water. So, but unfortunately, the degradations have started happening in the region. Slowly, the Bangaloreans and the Mumbaikars are coming to this region. They are converting the forest into the concrete jungles. So that's where we are losing the forest. Our own main worry is that our children will pay the heavy price when there's no water in this region. Okay. Now, let us also try to learn from the history. You know, the people earlier thought that Easter Island, their land is available. They went on expanding the island thinking that the land is available. But finally, one day, people have to abandon the island because of the scarcity of water. The same thing happened in the last leg of Vijayanagara kingdom. Last leg of Vijayanagara kingdom failed because of the water scarcity. So, and also we all paid a heavy price for the in 2020 and 21 because of the corona COVID virus. It is a zoonotic disease. That means the source is from the wild animal. Why the source wild animal gave us the disease? Because people shrunk the habitat of the wild animal. Naturally, we paid heavy price for that, and lot of people were died because of that disease. So if you want to live longer, you need to make sure habitats are maintained so that we are healthy and animals are also healthy. Okay. So other way, as youngsters, I know that many youngsters are listening to me today. Another simple advice I can give is the if we have a healthy diet, we will also the conserve the water. Now, what is this healthy diet? See, when we have healthy diet, it helps in the weight management. I'm talking about a simple the pulses. You know, it helps in optimal brain function. As engineers, our brain has to work if we have to excel in our profession. And the pulses are a good source of vitamins and minerals. It reduces the risk of cancer. It the control the diabetes and blood lower the blood pressure. It also prevents the cell and gene damage and also helps in the muscle generation. You know, one of my colleagues who has the dinner plate like this, say when he retired, he had the blood pressure and the diabetes. Today, if you look at a dinner plate, he has a 5 varieties of vegetable, 5 varieties of fruit, and a bowl of pulses. You know, the diversity of plate will give you the health. You know, when your food plate is diverse, you will be very healthy. And a bowl of pulses gives you the stability. Now, when you start consuming this kind of food, we need to they prepare this food. That means let us see what is the food water footprint for each of these food. Okay, see to grow a pulses per kg of pulses, it requires 200 liters of water. To grow a kg of millet, you require about 100 to 150 liters of water. While the rice or a wheat require 3,000 to 5,000 liters of water, say per kg. While the sugar, per kg of sugar, you need about 12,000 liters of water. So, and more importantly, when you start growing pulses, you know, in the region, there won't be human animal conflict because the wild animal do not like this pulse crop. So that way you can address the human animal conflict also in a region where there are human animal conflicts are happening. But unfortunately, our population is greedy. They want the compensation. They deliberately grow the rice, the paddy and sugarcane. They invite the wild animal. So then they can seek for the compensation through the corrupt politicians, etc. Now, when we lead a life which is conducive to the environment, that kind of the lifestyle promotes the healthy planet. Healthy planet. We are also known as the pro-planet people. So when we are pro-planet people, there is a harmonious state of mind, body, and spirit. That means we'll have a holistic health in the system. So when surrounding is healthy, we will also be healthy. That is the message we need to take it from the mother nature. So now with this, let me bring you to the from Western Ghat to the Bangalore. Let us talk about how the city is dying, how the lakes are being abused, and what are the intervention from the through the science and technology in Bangalore and various parts of Karnataka. That is the last part of my presentation. Now, let us try to understand how was Bangalore earlier. Today, Bangalore spatial extent is 714 square kilometer. You know, the highest point is at 940 meter. Incidentally, this is the location where our IISc's main gate is located. Not only we are a premier institute in the country, we are also on the top of the elevation in the Bangalore. Now, when you look at the 714 square kilometer in the 1800, you know, the taking advantage of undulating terrain, our elders had created a interlinked the water bodies. You know, the water used to move from one to the other, and we had 1,452 lakes or tanks in this region and 82% green cover in the region. Because of that kind of the ecosystem, during the May month, the temperature was about 14 to 16 degrees Celsius. And during December, for few days, the temperature is 0 degrees Celsius. And in a place called Palace Orchard, closer to Indian Institute of Science, we used to grow the apples. Today, what do we grow? We grow the waste and the waste people. That is how the changes have happened. Now, today, when you look at, we have only 193 lakes in Bangalore and less than 8% green cover, and the temperature in the region has gone up to 34 to 37 degrees Celsius. And earlier, when the lakes were 1,452 the water bodies, it used to store the rainwater to an extent of 35 TMC. The city in this region used to receive the rain of 15 TMC. We had the capacity to address the flooding, etc. But today, if you look at, because of the poor status of the lake in Bangalore, the storage capacity has come down less than 1 TMC. So that's why the city faces the frequent flood. And the city, which was a garden city in 73, slowly became a garbage city, and today is heading toward the dead city status. So now, when you look at the topography of Bangalore, it's an undulating terrain. You know, even today, you have 193 lakes. If you can manage that, we can maintain the water for our children in the city. Now, let us try to understand why we need lakes. You know, lakes provides us the provisioning services. It provides us the fish, fodder, and people wash cloth and grow crops, etc. It also does the regulating services like groundwater recharge, the moderate the microclimate. It also treats the bioremediation. Then cultural services like recreation. You would have seen a lot of people going to the lake for jogging, etc. Now, this is, say, when earlier kings, when they constructed, when they created a township or a city, they used to have a protected wall and they used to have the water body. The protected wall provided security to the citizen, while the water body provided the water security. But today, the decision maker think of the Lakeview apartment. That today my students have monitored all the 193 lakes. We know the condition of the lakes in Bangalore today. Now let us look at each of the aspect in greater detail. See, when lakes were there, people were getting the water at 80 to 100 feet. When the lake was removed in the name of development, groundwater table dipped to the 600 feet in 4 or 5 years. Now today, the same location, Nagshettihalli, people have gone down to 1900 feet. There is no water. You know, you might ask me, can we reverse the situation? You can reverse the situation by rejuvenating the lake. For example, Saraki Lake, when it was rejuvenated about 3 years back, within a year, we saw the increase in groundwater table by 320 feet. That means the lakes and the vegetation in the region helps in groundwater recharge. Then let us also look at the kind of services provided by the lake. When it is good, we get the fish, fodder, etc. To an extent of 10,500 rupees per day per hectare. This is what we need to understand. Tell the people that lake is one of the most productive ecosystem. It provides the livelihood for the dependent population. When we pollute the lake, you know, the worth of the lake come down to 20 rupees per day per hectare, as it happens in the case of Amruthalli. You know, the people like fishermen, the farmers, and washerwomen, these are the people who get affected by because of the pollution of the lake, because of the productivity that declines happens. Okay, so now we also try to quantify the what is the ecosystem services provided by the lakes in the Karnataka. There are about 39,000 lakes in Karnataka. For the first time, we have documented that, and we try to understand what is the worth of the lake. And if you look at the lakes in Karnataka gives about provisioning services to an extent of 49 billion rupees per year, while regulating services is about 196 billion rupees and cultural services 37 billion rupees. When you combine all these things, it is called total ecosystem value. It's about 284 billion rupees. When you keep 1,000 rupees in a bank at a 10% interest, you will get 100 rupees a year. Now, to get 100 rupees, you need to have a principal of 1,000 rupees. Similarly, if you want to assign the value for the lakes in Karnataka, which is giving us every year 284 billion rupees, it amounts to the net present value of the lakes amounts to 7,320 billion rupees. When the lake is converted into other purposes in the name of development, we need to tell the decision maker they have to pay the people, the system, the amount that is equivalent to the NPV. Okay, so now we also look at what is the threats the lakes are facing in Bangalore and other parts of Karnataka. One is unplanned urbanization, the loss of floodplain, loss of interconnectivity among the lake, narrowing the drains, and loss of riparian vegetation. When you look at the changes that has happened, if you look at the green cover that has changed over a period of time, you see that temperature which was 21 degrees in 90s became 24 degrees Celsius in 2000 and 28 degrees in 2010, and today is about 37 to 40 degrees Celsius. We also moved from the center of the city in 8 direction. We noted on the temperature profile. You see, wherever lakes or parks are there, temperatures are 2 degree lower, which means these lakes and parks helps in the moderating the microclimate. So you get the cool climate because of the ecosystem doing the function of heat sink. So now, but unfortunately, because of the unplanned urbanization with the increased impermeable area or more of concrete area, lakes have become seasonal, groundwater table has declined, and there changes in local temperature has happened. So now let us try to understand how the Bangalore landscape is changing. See, using remote sensing data of the last 5 decades, we have captured how the changes are happening. The 1973, 68% was green cover. And you see that the city was known as a garden city because there was a green everywhere, the vegetation was there. Blue is water body, yellow is an open space, and red is the building. In 92, you see with the industries coming up in Pirinia and Koramangala, we see the changes happening. Now we know the agents of change, how these agents changes and how much we can capture that, okay, using remote sensing data. Then in 99, 2000, we have ITBT sectors coming in the outskirts. Then you see 2006 intensification started happening. 2009 further intensification has happened. Now you see that 2019, the 81% of the Bangalore landscape is choked with the concrete. And now 2021, if you see, it's about 85%, or 2022, it's about 86%. There has been a 1055% increase in the concrete area in the city. We have lost 88% vegetation and 79% of the water body. See, this is a dangerous situation. And we simulated this, what is the likely scenario in 2025. It shows that 98.5% of the Bangalore landscape would be concretized. For anybody to survive in a region, they need to have adequate oxygen and adequate water. That means the people will not have oxygen or the water. So that's where I've been telling enough is enough. We need to decongest Bangalore. But where are the sensible decision makers to take this kind of decisions? Suggestions. Now we also try to look at what is the kind of the trees in Bangalore. To do that, we use the remote sensing data. Using a global positioning system, we did a ground survey in the ISA campus, and similar exercise was done in couple of wards in Bangalore. That's how the ground data was collected, which was linked with the remote sensing data, so that we know what is the spectral response of the vegetation. Now in ISA campus, campus of 400 acre, we have about 22,000 trees, about 5,000 population. That means for every person in campus, we have 4 trees. And when we use the remote sensing data for the entire Bangalore, we could extrapolate the number of trees in Bangalore. And also we could the overlay the boundaries of the ward. We could map how many trees are there in each the ward, and also how many trees per person in each ward. So when we look at the overall situation in Bangalore, we have about 1.4 or 14 lakh 78,000 trees in Bangalore of a population of 95 lakh or 1.5 million the trees for 9.5 million population. That means for every 7% there are 1 tree. You might ask me how many trees a person requires. I'm sure all of you are breathing. When you breathe, you give out a carbon dioxide. When you give out a carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, that carbon dioxide is taken away by the plants. Every day when we breathe, we give out a carbon dioxide to an extent of 540 to 980 grams per person per day. That means the younger people 980 grams, about a kg of carbon every day, while the elderly people about 540 grams. And 1 hectare of trees sequester the carbon to an extent of 6 to 9 tons per hectare per year. By that ratio, for every person, there should have been 7 or 8 trees. But what we have in Bangalore is 7%, 1 trees. Now, you might ask me whether this is a new knowledge or whether we knew about it. If you look at our scriptures, it talks about the importance of the ecosystem. For example, Bible, if you look at, there's a mention of nature conservation at least 320 times. Similarly, in Quran, if you look at, there is a mention of the war if you contaminate the water. That's where when you visit the dargah, you have to wash your feet and finger with a clean water. Normally, the good dargah will have well. You need to pull out the water from the well and wash your feet and finger before you enter the dargah. Similarly, in our literature also, there's a mention about the linkage between the water, children, and a tree. For example, if you have a well at home, you are wealthy, you have adequate water. 10 wells are equal to 1 lake, 10 lakes are equal to 1 sarovar, and 10 sarovar is equal to the 1 child, and the 10 children are equal to 1 tree. That means the benefit of having 10 children, you can have it by the planting or nurturing a tree. I'll put it other way. When you cut a tree, you are murdering your own the 10 children. That's how the message we got from the scripture, so powerful. Had we understood this, probably we would have managed the Bangalore better. Now we also map where all we have lost the lakes in Bangalore. These are the red, this one we have lost the lakes, this one. About 79% of the lake we have lost during the period 1973 onwards. Okay. Now the implication of that, the frequent flooding in the city, we do not know who will get trapped in the flood and who will die. And at one side flooding, other side we have the drought situation. And if you look at the location where the flooding is happening, when people remove the lake, naturally that is the area like HSBR layout and Manshakri, you see that they get flooded. Similarly, if you look at the interconnectivity among the lakes have been lost. When we analyze the interconnectivity, you see that every powerful fellow, whether it's a film actor or politician, are encroaching the Rajakalwe or the stormwater drain. That's where we are seeing the vulnerable situation in Bangalore, which is contributing to the flooding. Now, other thing is when the catchment is dominated by the vegetation, you'll see a large amount of water get deposited in the underlying layer. So that means there's a small amount of water flows on the overland. But when we concretize the region, you see there is a large amount of water in a shorter duration. That means you have a high intensity of water, which creates the flooding. With the flooding, you have to pay the prices of loss of life and properties. And during the rain, there is a region called a floodplain where the normal stagnation of the water is there. But unfortunately, earlier people used to have the riparian vegetation. As the water moves towards the lake, there used to be a treatment happening. But unfortunately, greedy population is encroaching the floodplain, and even the 30-meter buffer, what has been stipulated by the NGT, National Green Tribunal, it's again getting the diluted in Bangalore. Okay, so now how we are managing the lakes in Bangalore? We use the lake for dumping the solid waste. We encroach the lake. We have the lake view apartment. People go and buy and stay in those apartments. And in those apartments, there are no treatment plants. All the sewage comes to the lake directly. And this lake, for example, Belandur Lake, receives about 500 billion liters of untreated sewage every day. The implication of untreated sewage over a longer period is that lake which was like this during 90s has become like this. There is a thick growth of invasive water hyacinth, the invasive species of water hyacinth. When the invasive species of water hyacinth cover the lake, the functions of the lake comes down. When the lake is like this, if you measure the dissolved oxygen at the inlet, it is 0, but at the outlet, it is as high as 10 to 12. That means as the water moves from the inlet to the outlet, there's a treatment happens. But when we cover that with a macrophyte of invasive species, you will see that the dissolved oxygen has come down drastically. That's how the lake become non-functional. Now, The other implication is that how it affects the livelihood when there is a thick layer of the macrophyte, there is no sunlight penetration. In absence of sunlight, you will not have the algae. Since algae is not there, you will not see the other entities in the food chain like zooplankton and the fish. That's how the value of the ecosystem comes down from the 10,500 rupees per hectare per day to 20 rupees per hectare per day, affecting the livelihood of the people, dependent population like fishermen, washerwomen, etc. Now, the glory of Bangalore, unfortunate, is the frothing happening in the lake and the fire. The froth and fire shows how corrupt our system is. So, to solve the problem of frothing, we should have handled the pollutant entering the lake at the source. But what did the bureaucracy of the city did it to address this problem? They just constructed the barricade. I wrote an article in the media saying that this is an ad hoc decision not going to solve the problem. But at that time, the bureaucrats criticized me. But in a 4 days, the froth crossed over to tell that what a wastage of money these fellows have done. This kind of the illogical planning and the mismanagement of resources is happening because most of the people do not understand why these problems, because major population is environmentally illiterate, we face the contamination in our ecosystem. Okay, now how this the contamination affects the people, let us try to understand. In the fish grown in the lake, and also the water that is in the lake is used by the people for growing the vegetables like pudina, spinach, radish, etc. We took the samples of fish as well as these vegetables, and we found heavy metal in all these the food items. That's how the contaminants from the water, because of the disposal of the industrial effluent and domestic sewage, the contaminant from the water is getting transferred to the food and to the humans. The implication is that there is an increase in the kidney failure in the city and the cancer. Kidney failure, which was 1 in 1 lakh about 12 years back, today is 1 in 5,000. When I visit some of the schools in rural area, it's a very pathetic situation I come across. In one of the school in Ramanagondahalli, and the 8th standard kid who was interacting with me had both a kidney failed. In another school in Vattur, about 3 years back, the LKG kid had a problem with one kidney. The 8th standard kid had the girl child had both a kidney failed. When I visited the same school last month, I was told that 8th standard kid is no more. See, that is how we are losing the youth. Youth are asset to the nation. Providing health to the youth is our responsibility. But unfortunately, because of our the greedy behavior, we are polluting the system. We are making our youth unhealthy. That's where we need to understand. And you see, this is how we pollute the water bodies by dumping the solid waste. In fact, when I go to some of the lakes in the region, I see the lake is being polluted by everybody. The other day when I went to the Belandurlu lake, I saw somebody coming in BMW. A lady coming from BMW, she just threw the polythene, the pouch into the lake and went off. Then when I called her, asked her, she said that is the place for dumping the solid waste. That means these people, though they look educated, they do not know where to dispose the solid waste and how to manage the solid waste. So that, to summarize what I said, when you look at nature, there is nothing called waste. When you see the waste in the region, it reveals that there are only waste people in the locality. Okay. Now with our pressure, the report what I had prepared went to the Supreme Court. Then Supreme Court penalized the government up to an extent of 500 crore, which is now being used to rejuvenate the Belandur and Vattur lake, which is being rejuvenated now. When one of the exercise of the rejuvenation is to remove the contaminant that is accumulated in the lake, we did the quantification of the silt that is accumulated in the lake. So our bathymetric study shows that there are about 11 million cubic meter of the silt is accumulated in the lake, which is worth 1,500 crores. When we analyze the quality of the silt in the Vattur and Belandur, we found Vattur lake doesn't have any contaminant because Belandur acts as a wetland. It has removed all the contaminants. So the Vattur didn't have the contaminants. Then we convinced the farmers to use this silt in a 400 acres in the Vattur lake catchment. And when I visited the farmers after 4 months, I found that the farmers are so happy with the bumper crop. Each of the farmer told me that they have earned 1,50,000 rupees per acre additional to what they were earning earlier. So that means that's mainly because the silt in this Vattur lake had the nutrient, so they couldn't, they didn't, there was no need for using the synthetic fertilizer. And because of this good quality nutrient, they had the bumper crop also. So that's how we get back when we manage the system. So earlier we had a system of desilting the lake once in 2 or 3 years, use the silt in the agriculture field. But unfortunately, that the practice has died down throughout the country. We need to bring back that practice. That is the thing when we do, that is the environmental friendly way of the managing the environment. Okay. So now let us see how we can they bring back the system. One is you need to do the wastewater treatment. If you can do the rainwater harvesting, that's wonderful. Then what we have done, I will try to explain to you. The most important weapon I've been, this one is the sensitizing the youth. My agenda is when I sensitize the youth with the environmental knowledge, they become sensible. When youth become sensible, they will be responsible. When they are responsible, they take the decision which is conducive to the environment. That development, I call it as a sustainable development. So now the intervention what we have done in some of the lake I'm sharing. This is in Jakkur Lake. The 2005 our assessment shows the Jakkur Lake and surrounding there were 25 wells were there. All of them had the nitrate in the water. Nitrate is a carcinogen which introduces cancer. So then we pushed the government to rejuvenate the lake. So when the government rejuvenated the lake, I was in the committee. I made sure that the constructed wetland and algal pond is they implemented in the thing for the wastewater treatment. The government said they have the funds only for the secondary treatment plant. As you all know, the wastewater what we generate at home has the chemical ions and the particles and also the nutrients like N and P, because we eat protein and we wash the cloth with detergent which gives the P, while the protein will give the N. So now the treatment of the wastewater involves the three stages: primary treatment, secondary treatment, and tertiary treatment. Primary treatment will remove the large particle. Secondary treatment will remove the chemical ion, while the tertiary treatment is required to remove the nutrient. Now, by the government, the policy of putting the secondary treatment plant would not solve the problem for the Jakkur Lake. So what I did is I put the constructed wetland and algal pond. When it passes through this, the nutrient removal happens because the plants requires N and P. We have monitored this lake and surrounding area for the last 10 years. The details are available in this in this report, which is available online. Those of you who are interested can download this report. Now, about 85 to 90% of the nutrient removal happens because of the technology. And now today there are 300 wells are there in the vicinity of Jakkur Lake. None of them have the nitrate. So I have the satisfaction of giving the solution to at least the 300 well users with the clean water. Because of my science and technology, people have got the water. So now the same model, if we can they do it for the entire Bangalore, we can solve the water problem in Bangalore. For example, if you see the Bangalore receives a rainfall of 700 to 800 millimeter rainfall, which amounts to 15 TMC. You can harvest the rainwater. There are two ways. One is through the rooftop harvesting. Each house will have 4 to 6 months additional water. The best option is through the lake. If you rejuvenate the lake, you can retain the rainwater. When you retain the rainwater, the surrounding groundwater sources also get the recharge with the clean water. And the city requires 18 TMC of water. That means 70% of the water required for Bangalore is available in the form of rainwater. And 18 TMC of water, if we are using, we are also generating 18 TMC of wastage of water. If we can treat that, then we have the 16 TMC of treated water. That means 15 TMC because of the rainwater harvesting, 16 TMC because of the wastewater treatment, you will have 31 TMC. For that means you will have surplus water. But for this to happen, I have 5R formula. First R is the responsible citizen. When people are responsible, they will not pollute the lake. They'll rejuvenate the lake so that I can retain the rainwater. And also they will allow the reuse and recycle the wastewater. Okay. Then you can also see how we have solved the problem of the god. At Gokarna, there is a Koti Tirtha. The Koti Tirtha was stinking in 2016. When the local youth approached us, when we went, myself, my student, we visited, we collected the water sample, we analyzed. It is because of the organic material getting into the water body because of the puja. Now, I can stop anything in India. I can stop water, but I cannot stop these practices. So then what I did, I talked to the priest who are very powerful. I requested them to allow the devotees to do the Visarjana of the puja material only at the designated place. So I named it as Vaikunta. And also the priest have to chant and they have to collect the 20 or 25 rupees per family. In the process, every month we have 20 to 25,000 rupees per month as a revenue, which is given to the NGO. NGO has hired 3 U's. The 3 U's job is to do the deweeding, thrice a week, and take out this rice balls and other puja material from this and give it to the cattle in the Goshala. Now you see that in the meanwhile, I also introduce the fish which eats the rice. That is our ecological engineering approach. Now see, this temple is known for Lord Shiva and Ganesha. They were getting the bath of this contaminated water. Now for the last 3 years, the water body looks like this. I'm sure you all agree that God also must be happy because of the clean water bath. That's how we can solve the problem of the God also. And also when people leave us, we remember them not by crying. We just make sure the school children come to the campus, they do the planting. One of my colleagues, when he passed away, we did the planting of about 500 sapling in the campus. About 150 kids came to the campus. 500 the ficus species, the ficus plants saplings were planted. There are 5 varieties of ficus were planted. Even all of them have survived. And children come when they celebrate birthday, they come and water this plant. That's how they take care of the plants also. And this is the water body we created in the campus way back in 2008, which stores 10 lakh liters of water. If you look at, I stay on the campus, and my students use this lake for doing the biofuel study. Not only students are happy, even we have the organism like otter in the campus. Now, as you all know, the otter is a voracious eater of fish. I don't go and feed the fish. But what we have noticed when we did the biodiversity study in that lake, we saw there is a algae, the zooplankton, and the sufficient fish in the lake, which meets the requirement of the otter. So what I have done is I have stored 10 lakh liters of water. I stay on the campus. My family require 500 liters a day. That means about 1 to 1.5 lakh liters a year. I'm giving back 10 times the water what I am consuming. If every citizen on the earth does this, what they consume, 10 times they give it back to the nature in a better way, then there won't be a poverty or scarcity. The similar thing we tried in the other places. When people are in crisis, they approach us. That's what happened. The saint approached us in 2016 because his place, 2014 and 15, there was a scarcity of water, the drought situation. So 2016, when I was traveling in Mangalore, he met me. He listened to my presentation. Then he said he has 12 acres of land. Then immediately we did the survey of the land. We identified the location for creating the water body. Within 10 days, they created a water body which stores about 12 lakh liters of water. The success is because of the youth. You see the large number of students from Alva Science and Technology, the engineering college have taken part in that. And even this saint is a young person. He also took up the planting of the reserve. There were 32 lakes in that region. Among I requested this saint to do the desilting of the lake or the rejuvenation of the lake. At that time, the saint said that he doesn't have the enough resources. I requested him to do it at least in 1 or 2 lakes. When he did in 2 lakes, the remaining 30 lakes desilting was done by his devotees. So that's how the system gets benefited when leaders take part in the system. The advantage of that is the last year there was a scarcity of rare water in this region, but this particular taluk did not face water crisis because of this kind of intervention like lake creation or the rejuvenation of the lake through the desilting, etc. Now, seeing the success of this, I saw that CEO of Alvas is also quite young. So we convinced him to create the water body in his campus, which stores at 25 lakh liters. And also he did the planting of the native species in the catchment. When I visit this institution quite often as a guest faculty, and when I visited, I see a greenery with abundant water. So there is a smile on everybody's face. The positive aspect of this is when this water body was created, before the water body was created, this person is quite young and he was alone. He was a bachelor. But after creating a water body, within 6 months, he got a partner, the wonderful partner who take care of the joint family at home. The parents are there, his brother is there, and family is there. So everyone is taken care by the girl. That's how the nature rewards us with the happiness and the wealth when we do the society relevant work. Okay. So now when you come to the campus, you will see this climber. This climber, I was fascinated by the architecture of the climber. You can learn from this. See, if you want to prevent coiling, you just look at how this happens. You have the clockwise and anti-clockwise mechanism, and that's how the coiling is prevented. I was fascinated by that architecture. I felt I should have it in my campus. I brought the pot which had a 14 seeds. Out of the 14 seeds, 7 I planted in 7 locations, and the 7 I have kept in my office, in my lab. So that if somebody has any dispute of about who has planted, they can come and do the molecular analysis. Now, out of the 7, only one has survived. That has survived next to the building where I work for 2 decades. That means even the plants know who will take care. Now it has grown very wide in the campus. It has covers about 2 hectares area, and like my profile. And also in front of this the department, we created a mini forest. That region, the 2 hectares region, was infested with Parthenium weed. Now, today, if you go and see that region, you do not see any Parthenia. But more importantly, in 90s, we planted a 49 native species, 500 sapling were planted there. And the advantages of that is, if you look at temperature is 2 degree lower in this pocket in front of this building. And the groundwater, which was 150 feet earlier, before we created this mini forest, today I have at 5 to 10 feet, which substantiate whatever I had spoken earlier, the substantiate my theory that wherever plants are there, we have adequate water and temperature is 2 degree lower. And there are varieties of the wild animals like slender loris. That means we also get recreation. That's what the nature provides. That is demonstrated by this small experiment. Okay. Then we also interact with the youngsters. You can see my audience. We go to travel to the rural schools and throughout this, and we have conducted various programs throughout the country. About the 400 the program we have conducted, popularly known as Know Your Ecosystem. And also we do the capacity building through the offering a course in through Center for Continuing Education at IISc, the course on environmental management and municipal solid waste management. I've offered about 20 sessions during the last 20 years. So that's how we are doing the capacity building of school children and college students, and also the people working in industry. That's what we are sensitizing the people so that they manage our Mother Earth better. So now this also gives a glimpse of our classes in various institutions. My students, myself, we spend the weekend or holidays in the schools. That's how we try to communicate the knowledge to them. So then I offer I organize a symposium popularly known as a Lake Symposium once in 2 years. We have conducted 13 events. We started this way back in 98 and 2000. Every even year we do that. See, this is a forum where international experts, national experts, and decision makers take part. Not only these people, even the school children take part and they attend the 3-day event. The children, they attend the event, they get the knowledge. And on the concluding day, they do the presentation of their work. See, the children do the simple experiment like carbon sequestration or the catchment mapping, the water quality assessment. They have been trained by my students. The children go to the field, collect the sample, they come to the lab, analyze it. Similarly, rural area, the kids do the neighborhood mapping. We empower the children with the environmental knowledge and equip them with using the technologies like GPS, GIS, etc. That's how the capacity building we do. And this is a glimpse of the last symposium, what we did in the December month. So you can see the diverse for the participants in the forum. Okay, the work what I did for the 2010 regarding the solar, we have the solar program in the country. When you look at the country, we have 65% youth. We have abundant solar energy. Now today my students are working on the algae, hoping that we will meet the biofuel requirement, the liquid fuel requirement in the country. When we harvest all these three, youth, solar energy and biofuel, we will have the developed country and the sustainable the development. That's what we are looking for. You can see the work what we did gave way for the hotspots of solar energy. Now each of the place when I travel, I see the solar projects have come up the replacing the coal. Similarly, biofuel, we have looked at the ethanol prospects and also the biodiesel prospect from the algae and ethanol from the macro algae. So now we are also looked at the wind and other this, and that's how we have tried to meet the requirement of the society. We develop the decision support system so that the people can the plan for the what kind of resources considering the demand in the region. So that's also a quite popular thing what we have done. Now, environmental friendly, the lifestyle, how we are leading. As I demonstrated, we created lake. And if you come to my lab, above my lab, I have the solar panel. If you come to my room, instead of using the tube light, the 320 watts, I'm using 20 watts. the LED bulb, which is sufficient. This 320 watts for 10 hours, I would have used 3.2 kilowatt hour, or the 3.2 units. Instead of that, I am using the only the 0.2 the units of the electricity per day. That's how we are doing the energy conservation. When we organize the symposium, we use the eco-friendly product. Even we organize the food, no the plastic, no this one is all steel plate, and even they when we use when a particular thing loses its life for the use, we convert it into value added product, like from sari. My students, the other Chetana had done this bags, or the was the from the waste paper, etc. Then most of my students, myself, we have the low carbon footprint mobility. Most of us travel by the metro or the public transport, and invariably you will see my students choosing the bicycles or the solar powered vehicle within the campus. This is how we do the capacity building. The any program, if I'm invited, if there's a tree planting, then only I accept the invitation. So that's how the capacity building happens. If you need more details, you can write to me. And also, these are the portal where you get the data. So this is my group web page, and this is the biodiversity web page. And when you access that web page, looks like this. All my publications are available, and also some of my talks are also available in YouTube. You can view that by giving the keyword YouTube, TV Ramchandra. So, and this gives a glimpse of the water testing lab, what we created in some of the schools in rural the Karnataka. So if you have done a good job, I would say it's because of the youth. When youth does a sincere work, the disciplined way, they keep the smile on everybody's face. Thank you very much for listening to me. So I was given the time up to 8:15. Now it is 8:40. I'm winding up my talk. And if there are any questions, I would be happy to answer. Okay. Supriya?
Thank you very much, sir, for such an insightful talk and how to take care of Mother Earth and what Mother Earth gives us back. As over to Sangeeta. Sangeeta, are you there? Okay. 1 minute, sir. Yeah, we would like to thank all the participants, and thank you, sir, for walking us through the environment challenges, importance of natural resources, thought process of government and non-governmental communities in leveraging the resources and the use of technology for the same. The talk presented here gives all the audience a very good idea how preservation and effective use of natural resource can help the next generation, and this all can be done with cost-effective technologies, and how Mother Earth takes care of us as we take care of our mother at home. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Any queries? You can please raise your hand, please. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.